Hello, everyone, and welcome to an Ask Me Anything session with the founders of Bubble, live from the Bubble HQ in New York City. I'm Ali Cody, or Ali No Cody, as some of you like to call me, and I'm a senior software engineer on Bubble's AI team. And I'm so excited to be here today with our co-founders, Josh Haas and Emmanuel Strachanov, to talk about the future of AI-powered visual development here at Bubble. So yeah, thank you guys for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ali.
It's great to be here.
We've received so many great questions and reactions about how AI will enhance Bubble's platform, and we can't wait to dive in and answer all your burning questions about Bubble's AI vision. What we have in store for you today is that Josh and Emmanuel will kick things off by sharing some insights from our recent AI vision campaign. After that, we'll go through some of the top questions that were pre-submitted by our community. And then we'll actually have time to answer some questions from you all live. So please don't be shy and share your questions in the Q&A section of the chat. Just please be mindful and make sure that they are related to Bubble's AI vision. And then finally, at the end of the event, we'll be making a very exciting announcement for the Bubble community. So you'll definitely want to stick around and stay tuned for that. With that said, let's get started. Josh and Emmanuel, can you share some of the key highlights of our AI vision and what excites you both most about the future of AI-powered visual development here at Bubble?
Yeah. So if I were to put the AI vision in a nutshell, it's about helping people build faster and with more control to get to real businesses. We have been doing this for 13 years, letting people build web applications without having to read or write any code. And we see AI as basically a continuation of that promise. And we're sort of viewing this in sort of three chunks: generating applications with AI, iterating and building on them with AI, and then scaling those applications up. And generation is live. It's, go and play with it. We've had a lot of people using it. We're very excited about it. We're working on iteration. We shared some details about that. And of course, the Bubble platform itself is designed around helping businesses scale up. So yeah, that's sort of the core of it, I'd say.
And then for the following part, like the iteration and the iterating and scaling part for your application, that's where I think AI and Bubble can work extremely well together. The mesh can be pretty magical because the AI that we're building is going to be interpreting the different patterns that you see, that they can see in your application, can understand the intent of what your application does. And so effectively what you'll be able to do is generate things for your application when you need to do it, generating a workflow, a group of elements, so add some logic to your application. And for the scaling part, when you start having to make some changes to the behaviors that you're seeing in your application, or even sometimes have some behaviors that you don't want to see, you can start interacting with the bot to ask, hey, I don't like this behavior. Please help me change this. And Bubble AI will be there to explain to you the changes it's making before pushing them to production. That combined with the fact that we've been, as Josh was saying, in business for more than a decade now and had hundreds of thousands of businesses using our platform that has been stress tested, makes the future of Bubble combined with AI super exciting to me.
Yeah. The other thing I'd say is it's just very connected to Bubble's mission as a company. We've been about helping people and computers communicate for a very long time. And AI is just an advancement on that front because it takes the sort of fuzzy nature of human communication and allows it to get precise, where Bubble's visual development language provides that like really clean vocabulary for humans and computers talking to each other. So it's very to like we started Bubble in the first place, and that's why I'm super excited about the positive reaction to what we've launched so far. We've had, I think, about 22,000 people generate applications since we launched back in February, and we just released the vision video last week. We've had 13,000 people watch it, and since we released the video, we've seen the spike in generations just start shooting up. So, really glad that this is resonating because it's really important to like why we started Bubble and what we're trying to do here.
Now, in this landscape, the AI world is changing very quickly. We know it's super important for us to move extremely quickly. So our goal is to ship things as fast and as frequently as possible. So as of this morning, and I want to give a shout out to Ali here, actually, because she was the one building this feature. If you use a generation platform tool, you'll see that the branding of what's get generated is significantly better than what it used to be. And we all know that this is actually very critical for the success of an application built on any platform. So if you use the app generation tool that we have, try it again today and you'll see the difference. And then another thing that has been requested by many people now is text-based API streaming. So to have the experience that you have when you use like the ChatGPTs of the world, to be able to display the responses of the models on a word-by-word basis, which gives such a lively feeling to the interaction to your application. This is now basically built. It's been tested by some ambassadors and a few users today, and we'll make that available to everyone by the end of the month, which is really exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, as someone obviously on the AI team and also an active builder on Bubble, I really appreciate the thought that's gone into how we can use AI to transform the user experience on Bubble. And I think there's a lot to be excited about, which I look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we have a lot of great questions queued up from our community. So let's dive in.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Our first question is from Kunigunda and Javier 6. And I'm sure many others of you have the same question. Does Bubble use users' apps to train the models that power its AI features? If so, does this include personal apps and templates?
Yeah, great question. We have not been training Bubble AI on user applications. We do use Bubble AI to train on the outputs of our AI features themselves. So as you're interacting with our AI features, we're continuously improving them based on your usage of them. But if you're not using AI on your application, we have not been training AI on your apps. And we've always said that Bubble apps are the intellectual property of the creator of the applications, and that's pretty important to us.
Yep, definitely.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm sure people will be relieved to hear that.
Yep.
Great. Our next question is from Brad H. Are you prioritizing AI over native mobile development? P.S. Great timing and positioning. The Vibe Code hype train hits its limits with iteration and editing. I know from experience.
I guess I can take that one. The short answer is no. I mean, we're really pushing these two initiatives at the same time because we think that AI, the reason Bubble can win is ultimately because not only we're an AI app development platform, but we're leveraging what the platform has that is pretty unique to it. And that's being able to generate for any platform, so native in particular. And having, the power of our visual tools. So we're going to keep investing there. This is something, we're big enough now that we can have two priorities like this. So driving mobile at the same time is something key for us. We're about, to launch before the end of June our mobile offering to everyone.
And I think the combination is going to be game changing, right? Because our mobile builder, I think, just sets a new bar for what mobile development looks like. And when you combine that with the ability to just super rapidly build a mobile app with the AI features, it's going to be wild. So I am so excited these two work streams converge and we get that out in front of you. That's news for a little bit later in the year, I think.
And the last thing I'll add is that, of course, today app generation generates web applications, but soon we're working on generating native applications as well, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually sit also right next to the mobile team. I can attest they're hard at work. And I think you guys actually already touched on the next question, so we can skip over it unless you have anything to add. But from Boston 85719 asked, will you be releasing native mobile AI, or is the current AI work only applicable to Bubble web apps? So
yes, basically.
Great. Yep. So thinking more broadly now, about what we can do with AI, how will AI go beyond app generation at Bubble? What kinds of AI features can we expect in the future?
Yeah. So we want AI integrated with the entire app development process, right? Like our model is AI and you are partners. Like you're building something and then AI does like the groundwork and accelerates you, and then you review what the AI does, you accept the changes or you give it feedback. So like a really seamless back and forth. So at the end of the day, we view the thing we're building towards as the entire experience basically being a human AI collaboration. The other thing we're thinking about is what AI products do you want to build, right? Like, so the reason we're releasing streaming is because streaming is a pretty key feature for, allowing sort of a native LLM interaction experience. But I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. I think a lot of design patterns in application building are going to be changing over the next couple of years. And we're also thinking ahead to like what kind of features, what kind of integrations will let you build cool AI applications.
Awesome. Okay, so our next question is from Florian Herzog. Why While AI seems to be the main focus for advancing the Bubble platform, do you have plans to address other key functionalities like native support for loops and proper if-else logic?
Yes, great question. Yeah, and in fact, the fact that we're now leveraging AI makes this kind of tooling even more important, because the way we use AI makes that loops and branching in workflow is actually something that will be valuable. So that's definitely something that we think about and we're thinking about. The workflow tab we've released was precisely built, among other things, to enable us to do these things. Now, this is not the thing we're going to be working immediately. Like, we do want to get native mobile to everyone soon and keep iterating on AI. But this is something that is definitely top of mind for us, because, again, I think it's very aligned with deploying AI across the editor for everyone.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we've already seen opportunities where actually some Bubble language changes will help the work we're doing on AI. So,
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, our next question from Jeffrey Ginn Software. Will the AI assistant be used to support plugin creation?
I'll take that.
Eventually, yes. It's not something we're working on right now, because right now we really want to focus on bringing the AI layer in our editors. That's where we think there is the biggest upside. But today, I mean, we've seen some users, in fact, already using some AI assistant to accelerate the plugin development. So I don't see why we wouldn't do that. It is not the first priority today, though.
Yep. Yeah. And this is a little speculative, but we've also been talking about just making it easier to integrate like native code into Bubble applications. So it's not just going to be via plugins. Right. Early stages, no promises or timelines on that, but I think that's the direction we want to move into, have a really seamless back and forth between code and Bubble.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a great idea, and I like to think you can do it all, just not all at once. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So well.
Okay, and then just we've talked about a lot of features that we have in the pipeline, projects we're working on. Is there a timeline for the release of the AI features on our roadmap?
Yeah, you'll take that.
Sure. So basically, we're in process of figuring out the exact sequencing and timeline of launches right now. We're basically working as fast as possible. A lot of the improvements right now we're making to generation, because AI generation is what we have out there, and making sure the quality goes up. But as we're working on that, we're also starting the process of integrating it throughout the editor. So keep in tune, follow the forum for announcements, and we'll keep you posted on our status.
Awesome. Shifting gears a little bit, we have a question about our Bubble experts. Does Bubble believe that rebranding from no code to AI visual development could diminish the value of being a Bubble developer? Will my skills be seen as using AI to build things anyone can, rather than being a highly skilled Bubble expert?
Yeah, I can take that one. No, I don't think so. I think, in fact, this is going to boost the demand for this kind of talent, because, again, AI is great to start, to generate something. But after that, even though AI can be assisting you in the iterating and scaling part of building an application, it's still important to understand how Bubble works. And as we know, with software development, things can be complicated. And so I actually think, not only is the skill set that Bubble experts have is going to be very valuable, because understanding what AI is going to be recommending, or doing it yourself in the editor, because let's keep in mind, this is also something you can keep doing, of course, will be valuable. But I think the rebranding will help us, just have way more people in the ecosystem starting to generate application with our tool. And ultimately, the bigger the Bubble world is, the bigger our user base is, the better it is for the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it. On a similar note, does Bubble plan to support agencies and freelancers in growing their client base as AI increases interest in building while speeding up the development process?
I mean, I will give kind of the same response.
Yeah.
The way we support is by growing our user base. Ultimately, the more users we have, the more leads come to agencies. That's something that has been working, for the last few years, and we're going to keep pushing that.
Yeah, I'd also add, we always look for opportunities for how to funnel users to agencies when we think that relationship makes sense, right? People are definitely on a spectrum from really want to build themselves to really want help, and we think it's in everyone's best interest to sort the people who really want an agency partner towards the agency. And we've built things in the past, and we continue to plan on iterating on those to make sure that we get a steady stream of users to agencies when that connection makes a lot of sense for them.
Yep.
Great, that's awesome to hear. Thinking a little bit more about new users, what will be the learning curve for the AI-powered editing tools? How have users responded to the current AI features? Do they find them intuitive?
Yeah. So, I mean, the point of AI is to create things that are super intuitive for users. And we're trying to make all our AI features just super easy and clear to use. With our generate feature, what we found is it generates a lot of new bubble UI, and sometimes the users need to like figure out how that UI and code that it generated works. But we've actually seen when we look at like the numbers that users are doing better even with this sort of assist. So we're actually pretty excited about how AI is bringing down the bubble learning curve, and everything we're going to ship after this is going to continue to push on that. Like Emmanuel was mentioning using AI to debug applications, using AI to explain applications. All of these things are things that are going to like drive down the bubble learning curve, because we know that the bubble learning curve is real, it's a thing, and AI is a pretty big opportunity for us to make bubble just more accessible and bring more people in the door.
And one thing I'll add to that is that one of the core principles we're applying on the design side is we don't want the AI to change things silently under you.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's something
Yep.
that a lot of AI tools right now are doing, which is actually pretty scary. If you have an application that is used in production by thousands of people and generating real activity and potentially touching money, you don't want things to happen under you without knowing. So the way we're thinking about AI is not to make the changes without telling you, but explain you, hey, these are the changes that we think we should be doing. Do you agree with them? And we think that not only it's safer for users, but also it's going to teach users how to use Bubble better. It's going to make the learning curve more fun and interactive.
Great. Yeah, I think that also what I'll say is these features are for you guys being on the AI team. I know it took a while for us to get our product out into the market, but we definitely want to be shipping early and often to get your feedback and make sure it is intuitive for you all to use. Great. Moving on to our next question. As a new user, is there a place where I can chat with a Bubble expert about AI and who can answer questions about expressions, best practices, and more?
I mean, the forum remains a great place to interact with the Bubble community, even though we actually seen a lot of activity on those places. I mean, Bubble is has a very global user base, and so depending on where you are, Facebook actually is a place where you see a lot of activity with Bubble experts. So I would say the AI generation aspect that we're building now is not changing the fact that Bubble experts are here highly qualified to help you build your application, and you can still reach out to them for help.
Great. Our next question comes from Chris Williamson, 1996. Do you have plans to let us lock certain parts of the app so AI can reference them without making changes?
Yeah, so as Emmanuel mentioned, right, like we think one of the big advantages of Bubble AI is that we're going to be giving you a lot of control and being really precise about what the AI is doing. And that's one of the things that having, the Bubble language really connected to the Bubble editor makes it easy for us to build in a way that, a lot of like vibe coding platforms, it's hard for them to do that. And we know that like one of the big downsides with vibe coding is like sort of these out of control careening AIs that go all over the map. And, next thing you know, your app has changed into like something totally different overnight. So yeah, we absolutely plan to give you a lot of control. It's probably not going to look so much like locking and more like the AI tells you what it's going to do and you can say yes or no and have like pretty granular controls rather than, like a locking feature in particular. But that level of control is just very, very core to like our whole game plan here, really.
Right. I think that's like something that already sticks out with the Bubble product. Kind of in a similar vein, users do want to understand how AI is working and make sure that they do have control over these things. Will we be able to select the latest models to use or switch between models?
Yeah. So I'm personally not a fan of letting users pick which model to use because behind the scenes, Bubble AI is doing like 20 or 30 different tasks. And some tasks you want like the most cutting edge model. Some tasks you want something super fast and cheap. Some tasks you want like a custom built model that we train in house. So our goal is like, you shouldn't have to worry about what model we're using. Behind the scenes, we are keeping up with the industry. Like, we're using the latest version of Claude models behind the scenes. But, we're going to be evolving that a lot over time. And it should be something that just like magically works for all of you guys without having to like be really specific about model choices.
Yeah, let us take that burden off of you.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's the mission of the company in the first place.
Yeah.
Yep.
How much control will I have over design and layout of an app when using AI features? So kind of a similar question here.
Yeah, so that's something we keep iterating on the generation side of things. Obviously, the way you can describe, your application with a prompt, we're giving more ways for people to express the kind of design that they want. And then inside the editor, after the first generation, we plan on, enabling people to generate either components or workflows. We're working. One of the things we want to do is to keep empowering people to do as different design as possible. Like, our vision is that, not two bubble apps should look the same. And so we want to apply that, of course, to the AI aspect of our product.
Yep.
Great. Thinking, not only about the front end here, but also the back end of our apps. We have a question from Tip Lister. I love your vision of using AI to empower developers, but if businesses adopt AI seriously, it will increase data and workflow usage, leading to higher workflow consumption. Have you considered that?
Yeah, I guess I can take a first pass at it, and Josh may add something. Yes, so I think what's important is that to ensure that the AI generation that we implement generates applications that follow best practices in terms of performance and workload unit consumption. And usually these things go together. Like the more performant an application is, the less it consumes. And so it's important for us when we assess the result of our models to ensure that they generate acceptable design in terms of application. We look at how the logic is built on the back end to ensure that this works well. Now, I will say one thing is that at some point, if AI, and I really hope that's the case, generates applications that have a ton of users and a ton of activity, this will lead to more usage and higher workload unit consumption, but that's what you want as a bubble builder or as a software person in general. You want your application to be used by as many people as possible, and therefore that should go up. What's important is to ensure we don't have design that are not optimal.
Yeah, I mean, the way we think about it, it's all about value at the end of the day, right? Like, if your application is consuming workload and having usage, we want to make sure that's aligned with it doing something valuable and useful that makes the costs worth it, essentially, right? And that's kind of our whole philosophy around it. And so if AI drives up usage and data processing in general in tech, it's presumably because there's a lot of value that it's creating, and that it's leading to new business, it's leading to growth of people's applications, it's leading to growth of the whole bubble ecosystem, right? So it's kind of a we all win together scenario. But to Emmanuel's point, we are being careful to make sure our tools follow bubble build best practices, and that's something we're going to keep on working on. And in fact, we've thought about AI tools for helping you optimize your applications as you scale up, because scaling is a really important part of what we're trying to do here.
Right. Great. And you hit on our next point already. So let's skip ahead. We have another question here. Will Bubble charge for AI usage? If so, how might the pricing work? Great question.
So no, it's not our plan. I mean, we started the company with a vision that building should be free. What's costing you money is when you launch your application to the world and start having real traffic. And so we want to keep that. That's why we're not charging for app generation today. And similarly for Bubble AI inside the editor, our goal is not to start monetizing every interaction you're going to have with Bubble AI. Now, as people know, and something that people talk a lot about in the world, AI is expensive, so we need to have some protection to ensure that things don't get too costly for us. So this means about having some usage limit, but we think our goal is to make them generous enough that it shouldn't get in the way of normal usage, just some protection to avoid some unreasonable consumption.
Yeah, and what I'd add is, this is still early and still exploratory, and we'll figure things out as we go. We want to make the build process as affordable and cheap as possible, because I think we all win if that's the case. We may put in limits, we may have plan-based things down the line, but we're hoping to avoid that as much as possible, and as much as possible keep the build experience cheap and really have the value be being on the Bubble platform for the long term.
Yeah.
And I think the fundamentals of the industry are actually helping us here, because the cost of models is going down over time.
Yep.
Because you have a lot of competition, which is great. So please keep doing this.
Yeah, builders, please keep competing with each other.
Exactly.
We're counting on you. Drive down those AI prices. Go for it.
Yeah. And definitely on our end, on the AI team, I think we're also keeping in mind the token usage, all of that of how we're prompting these models, and wanting to make sure that we can, keep the output quality high while keeping the cost low. So definitely something we'll continue to work on. Okay, so not everyone maybe is a fan of AI. Will there be
Really?
consideration given to users who do not value or want AI features? For example, a non-AI tier. I'm also worried that with all the AI focus, more basic development like general reliability, performance, UI enhancements, etc., will get pushed to the background.
Yeah. So we're definitely building in such a way that like Bubble works with or without AI, and that's tied to like sort of AI being a partner for the human, right? So we're not building in a way where AI replaces the human and um, gets in a situation where you can't use Bubble without AI. So using Bubble without AI will be an option. In terms of AI's impact on the other work we're doing, you know, the point of AI isn't to just generate stuff with AI, it's to generate Bubble with AI. And the better Bubble is, the more valuable AI is. So as we're adding AI features to the editor, we're doing it in sync with our editor usability and modernization efforts to have modern, clean user experiences in the editor. And as we're looking into, what the AI spits out, sometimes we're tailoring the AI to spit out Bubble, but also sometimes we're tailoring the Bubble language to make it easier for the AI to generate. So we're working on improving what the AI spits out at the same time. Now, I will say our focus right now is to move fast towards a world with AI because I think that's just the next iteration of the product. So, to be honest, right, like because we're prioritizing work on AI so much right now, some things might move a little bit more slowly in a world where we weren't working on AI. But I think long term, we see the point of AI as making the Bubble platform better, and we're doubling down on investing in the Bubble platform rather than seeing AI as something instead of the Bubble platform.
Yeah, great. I think that's such a strong point to end on, and we can now shift over to some questions live from you all. I think we have a bunch queued up to go through. I just want to make sure that I can see those questions coming in. All right. First question is, will the AI bot be able to help building in mobile also?
I think I've already answered that one. So yes, we're working on this.
Yeah, not tomorrow, but later this year. Definitely going to release that.
Great question. Why is the AI query limited to 500 characters? That is not enough characters to describe detailed problems and plans.
Yeah, you might actually have insight into that, right? Because I think the
Yes.
team's looking into this one right now.
Yes, exactly. It's actually in progress. We're reevaluating that, and I think we'll have a change out for that shortly. Next up, how will you sell Bubble.io to me compared to Replit or so? In the end, we all want to scale as far as our dreams. A billion-dollar company of one. Will this be possible? And also, Bolt.new. I love the ambition here, by the way.
I think maybe we can both take that one. I mean, how I sell Bubble combined with AI versus the other tools that you mentioned here, like Replit and others. I think what's really cool about Bubble is a combination of the visual platform, like the visual editor that we have that already speaks natural language, and the ability to interact with the software with natural language and the models. When you look at these tools, they're great, but the challenge is if you don't know how to code, and at some point you're stuck. Like you can't just ask the bot to keep fixing bugs. At some point, if you want to understand what the bot is suggesting you do to your application to ensure it works, you need to look at the changes themselves. And then if you're not a coder, it's actually pretty challenging to do that. What we offer is a visual way for you look at the workflows that is a much more human readable as a way to think about how your application functions and be like, okay, yes, please make that change. So I think that's a very exciting combination that we have that no one else can offer in the market because we spent the last 13 years building this editor that people use every day that again speaks a language that non-technical people understand, and that combined with AI is I think fairly magical.
Yeah, I don't think I could put it better. Like vibe coding is cool, but I think everyone's seen its limits, right? Like vibe coding, like there's this spike of like, cool, you can get to a prototype super quickly, but the journey past the prototype, if you want to build a real business and be successful in the long term, that is going to be something that's quite challenging, right? And Bubble gives you a path forward where a human is in the loop on it.
Yeah, and I think we touched on this earlier, but one thing I'm really excited about, I think is so cool, is how we can use those moments of like surfacing to the user what's changing as learning moments, which I think is just going to be really powerful. Great. Next question is, how do you see the integration of AI improving the no-code experience in Bubble? especially for more complex workflows?
It's both ways. It's going to be help in both ways. One way, which is about generating those workflows at first. So imagine instead of building your workflow action by action, you just like, okay, build me a workflow that does this when the user interact with this button, and we pre-build that for you. And then again, because it's a workflow that is much more accessible than code, you can look if it's right, and if it's not right, either ask the bot to modify or modify it yourself, because sometimes it can be faster. So for the generation part, and then the second part is just tell me what this complex workflow does. If I want to change that behavior to get this, how do I do this? And then having the bot that recommends options to you, I think is something that is going to accelerate development of applications, existing applications and new applications greatly.
Great, yeah. Generate, iterate, scale, those three?
Yeah, pretty much.
Do it all with workflows, yeah. Will there be any limitations to the AI bot in the number of questions, etc.? I mean, the version that we will be using during development and not the start version.
Yeah, so I mean that sort of gets back to our original question about like AI costs and limits, and the answer is we're exploring right now, right? Like, we can't do unlimited, obviously, because AI does cost money. We want to make the limits as high as possible, and there's a lot we can do to bring the costs down. So, I expect the limits to change over time, but we're going to do our best to make sure that people have a great building experience, because that's really the core of what this feature is for us.
Yeah, and to double down on this, I think it's important. Like our view on AI is that it's not a money generating feature. Like we're not trying to monetize and make more money because people use AI. We're trying to have people use AI so that can create great pieces of software that then get launched to the world, have a lot of activity, and therefore leads to revenue. And I think it's a very different approach than a lot of the other tools on the market, which puts us in a pretty unique position to deliver great value for our users.
Yeah, that's a really great way to say it. I hadn't really thought of it that way, but it's an awesome insight. Okay, are you going to use, we have somebody volunteering, I think, for us to train on their data. Are you going to use the user AI interactions in Bubble to improve the editor and the whole experience? I hope so, and I would be psyched for it. And you can copy me, no problem at all. So thank you for volunteering.
Awesome. Yeah, no, like I mentioned earlier, right, we are going to look at interactions with our AI features, and this is like in our privacy policy, so you can read about it on our website if you want to know the details. But we are not going to be training on applications that we're not actively engaging with AI features on.
Great. And another entry point into AI, we're getting a question here. Will you consider Figma input as a starting point?
Yes. In fact, some people in the community have already put together some pretty solid pieces of software, a pretty solid piece of software to take a Figma design and turn that into a Bubble application that you can use and design. And I think as we keep iterating on our generation engine, at some point, as I'm sure we'll explore, not just text-based prompt, but uploading something which is not exactly Figma, but a little bit similar. You take a design, and that we help putting that into Bubble and a working application. So we'll explore things there. It's not the first thing we're working on because we think there's still a ton of things we can do with using the prompt that people have. And I think now people are getting better at writing prompt for applications. So this is our focus today, but down the line, yes.
Yeah, I mean, long term, right? Like, we want you to be able to communicate with the AI however you're most comfortable. If that's a Figma design, great. If that's a sketch, great. If that's singing karaoke to the AI, we'll build you an app based off your karaoke tune. So, that's the long-term version. Short-term, as Emmanuel mentioned, like import methods isn't our top priority, and we're more focused on the generation and iteration experience.
Yeah. Yep. No, I also relate to that so deeply as someone who struggles sometimes to find the right words. Mm-hmm. Just having a reference image or something, I think can be such a powerful way to express an idea. So I hear you. We have a suggestion from the audience. It would be great if AI could analyze a completed project, point out critical points, and suggest adjustments.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is more short term. Like one of the first things we're doing on our sort of iteration roadmap is having AIs understand existing Bubble applications, because that's the first step towards iterating on them. And an obvious feature to build off of that is if it understands the application, it should be able to explain it to you, right? So very, very excited about that.
Yeah, and I think that will help greatly with a major pain point that we see now that we have a fairly big ecosystem is when applications get transferred from one person to another. Because a team has grown and new developers come in, we know it's challenging for people to take over a big application, and I think AI and that feature in particular will be tremendously helpful for that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Um, will the AI be able to help build API calls to external services?
Yep. Another thing that might not be like tomorrow, but definitely on our radar because we know the API connector is a really important part of Bubble. We also know the API connector is like due for a little bit of a refresh anyway. So I think combining it with AI and having, so that smart human AI interaction would be an awesome opportunity to just overhaul the API connector experience and make it that much faster to build API connections. So not the first thing on our list, but definitely on our list.
Yeah, I know. I think one of the powers of Bubble is the ecosystem and all of the plugins that are built internally and by the community. And so that's beyond even the API connector. I think those are conversations we're having is how can we leverage the power of the plugins to build more fully functioning apps. Will the AI be able to help build, next question, can Bubble help my health tech build our MVP and scale up into an enterprise software serving our users?
Yeah.
I can take that one. I mean, this one, it's difficult to give a response. I mean, so in terms of functionality, yes, 100%. And we've seen a lot of people do that. When it touches health, you need to be a little bit careful with how data is being hosted. And here, I don't know which country is this user from, and each country will come with different requirements. So the best for us is to reach out to our team. We have some users that have done that successfully, but we need to look in the details. So I can't really give a response, again, in terms of the compliance aspect of things. In terms of functionality, yes, 100%. And with our native app builder coming out later, before June, we'll be able to start accessing, health stuff from the phone, which is also really exciting. So there are a lot of exciting capabilities. But when it touches health, you have to be a little bit careful with where the data goes. And so reach out.
Yeah. I'd also say, like, for people new to the Bubble ecosystem, because I know we have a bunch of listeners who are relatively new to Bubble today, one of the questions we get over and over again is, can Bubble build X, right? Like, put anything in the world, and people are asking us if Bubble can build it. And the answer is generally yes, right? Like, Bubble, even though it's human understandable and much easier than code, is an open-ended, incredibly flexible platform. And as you get a little deeper into Bubble land, you can talk to some of the more experienced bubblers in the audience. They'll tell you that, pretty much any web or mobile application you can build with code, you can also build it with Bubble. That's part of the thing we've worked really hard for over the years without sacrificing the sort of human friendly, not needing to know how to code dynamic of it.
Right. And I think also to circle back to some of the earlier questions about Bubble expertise, there are these sensitive topics or different types of different industries. And so I think that's a great example of like why we need experts. So.
Yep, absolutely.
We have a new user writing in. Welcome. Can you briefly outline what AI-driven functions are available in Bubble now and what's next on the timeline?
Yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah. Well, first of all, it's free, so you should just try. Go to bubble.io/AI features and you can test. So what we have today is this initial build. So you describe your application. We've talked about that initial prompt a few times, where you describe the application you want to build, and it generates some things that then works. First of all, works in production, but also exists in the Bubble editor that you can change. The flow is you describe what you want to build, then the AI will say, okay, we think this is the features you need, and you have the blueprint of the different things that is going to integrate your application. You can make changes, actually, which is, I think, a very cool aspect of this flow, is that if, either the AI did not understand what you wanted or you didn't express it the right way, you can make changes before generation, and then you have an application that you can build. Now, the next thing we're building now, what we're working on is this conversational aspect inside the editor, which we don't have yet, which is, again, asking, please build this for me inside my application. Please make this change to this workflow. I don't understand this behavior. Explain to me why it's happening that way. That's the more conversational part inside the editors. That's the next thing we're building.
Great. Yeah, please try it out. I love seeing all the prompts that come through. Are there any classes or videos available that demonstrate how to use the new AI tools, showcasing their full functionality and guiding users through each step?
We're starting to produce such content. The reason we haven't, pushed too hard on that is because currently our product evolves very quickly, and so we want to make sure we do that once we have reach like a very good set of features. I think we're getting close to that for the generation part. So that's something we'll start investing on. One thing I would say is the Bubble ecosystem and community, actually more than ecosystem, is very active at producing content. So there's definitely already some content available online built by our users.
The other thing I'd say is give it a try, right? Like our AI generation tool doesn't have like special ninja sauce where you have to become like a prompt expert and have to know how to ask, in just the right way to get what you want. Like if you just sort of give a self-explanatory, ask the way you tell your friend what you want it to build, that's the best technique. So, ML's exactly right. Like we're going to produce training, we're going to produce content, we're going to share a lot about how to use our AI features, but the whole concept is you should be able to talk to them like you're talking to another human being. So, I would encourage you not to be afraid and to just put your toe in the water and see what happens. Really.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great advice. Yeah, and like you said, I think we get a range of prompts from like 1 to 2 sentences to full, or as much as people can submit with the character limit right now, but with a lot more description or requesting very specific features. So there's a lot of flexibility there in how you can use the tool. But we do also link to a prompt guide to give you some tips just to get you started. All right. Next question is, how do you think you can stay relevant versus Lovable, et cetera, when they can train their AI on thousands of GitHub repos, where Bubble has only a few apps to train its AI on?
I like it. Spicy question.
Yeah.
You want to take that?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel very good about our ability to stay relevant versus companies like Lovable. So, first of all, we're all coasting on foundation models, right? Like the big model companies like OpenAI and Anthropic and now DeepSeek and all the other foundation model players are spending a lot of time trying to make their models better at reasoning and coding. And Bubble is a form of reasoning, right? Like Bubble is designed to basically express logic, describe what you want, and a lot of what foundation model work is doing is trying to just get better at that. So a company like Lovable is for the most part not training their own models. They're sort of riding the wave of these foundation models, and so are we. And what we've found is that Bubble app generation benefits just as much from foundation model improvement as code generation. Very recent example, Claude 3.7, right? Yeah, the latest release, we rolled that out. I think like a day or two after it became available, and we saw a big jump in quality improvement in terms of the generated apps, just like the other, vibe coding tools saw a jump in their quality improvement. So I think from like a technological tailwind perspective, we're surfing the same current that everyone else is, but we have the advantage that what we spit out can be understood by everyone, not just professional programmers. So I think the real challenge is how are Lovable and Bolt and that kind of player going to stay relevant when someone non-technical builds a complex app, launches it, and then has to iterate on it with an AI that isn't perfect, that makes mistakes when they don't understand the code that's generated. So I feel pretty confident in our ability to stay relevant in the market right now.
And to double down on that, I mean, the fundamental reason why we started the company 13 years ago is that writing code and reading code is not easy. AI is not changing that much. AI is great at generating the first version of it, but at the end of the day, reading if statements is not for everyone. There is only a very small part of the world population that can do this today because they have had the training for this. And our great advantage compared to some of the tools is that we do not have those statements, which again, that's why I think AI is so much mission aligned with what we do, because we started the company so that, building software should be as easy as reading natural language on your screen and clicking. Now we're introducing talking to the computer, but that's something that these tools don't offer.
Right. Yeah. And also with, um, we've talked about the difference between vibe coding and actually launching and scaling. And so I think we definitely have an advantage in that sense.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, we have time for just a couple more questions. So if you have any last thoughts, make sure to share them in the QA chat, as mentioned before. Any plans to have the AI document the app as it builds it by adding notes everywhere that it touches?
I love it. Find another feature suggestion category. No concrete plans, but that's the kind of thing that we're thinking about as we look into like, what's the most effective way for AIs to collaborate with humans. We have the note feature that humans use to collaborate with each other, and I think we should definitely be taking advantage of it. So great idea. Definitely something that's on our radar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys have so many great ideas. Definitely keep sending them in. There's a lot we're hoping to build in the coming years, and so on. Will the AI be able to provide an app security audit? Great question.
Yeah, great question. I mean, in fact, we announced last year at BubbleCon our first acquisition. We acquired a tool to, in particular, do security audits for applications to ensure that people will build secure apps. So there are a lot of things you can do without AI, but we will explore how AI can help here. One place that is in particularly useful, I think, is privacy rules. I mean, these can be challenging for people. I mean, you have to be very careful as soon as you're building. And if Bubble users that have applications with a lot of traffic right now don't have privacy rules on your application, stop everything and go fix them, because this is really where it starts. Can be tricky, And I think AI can be very helpful here at doing that. So not just for the audit, but also for the building part. There are so many opportunities that where we can leverage AI to ensure that applications built on Bubble are secure and scale safely.
Yeah, actually, the new security features do use AI for some of the checks that they do. So we're already starting to take advantage of that, and I think there's more we can add to it as well. So, I mean, Bubble is starting from a place where we already host real apps, and we already have tools to make sure the apps we host are secure. I think AI features are going to help push that even further. But unlike like a Vibe Code platform, like we've already started working on this problem, both with AI and without AI. So super excited about the possibilities that AI lets us unlock there.
Yeah, I love that you guys are thinking ahead and
Yep.
of all the ways that AI can enhance our platform. Okay, like I said, we're gonna wrap up shortly. One of our last final questions is, how can we protect our future idea for a platform from being taken or stolen while building it for you?
I don't know. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, we get that question a lot, and we've gotten this question for years. I mean, like even when we were starting Bubble, people would ask that question. There's obviously like no more risk of your idea being stolen building on Bubble than building on any other platform. We don't steal our users' ideas. We're here to help you grow, and we're not in the business of building companies. We're in the business of helping companies be successful, right? I will say that, like, when someone's began their entrepreneurial journey, they're often like worried about their idea being stolen. When they get a little further along on their journey, they're worried about anyone caring about their idea, and that's the hustle. So, we're going to be there to help support you, all the way through building your business from idea stage to actual execution, to rolling it out and actually really making it successful long term.
Yeah, and I promise we're all hard at work and far too busy building out new features, the AI platform and everything that I know I don't have time to steal anyone's ideas. So, great. Well, that wraps up the Q&A section of today's Ask Me Anything. So thank you guys so much for all the engagement and energy from the community today. We can feel it here in New York. It's palpable, and we want to keep that momentum high, keep that momentum going, the energy high. So I'm going to pass it over to Josh and Emmanuel to share that announcement that I promised.
Yeah, so we're super excited to announce the Bubble AI Build Challenge. We're going to do a competition. It's going to be about generating apps with AI. We want you to show your stuff. It's going to be super fun. We're going to give away cash prizes. We're going to feature winners on our social media. Just like a really fun opportunity for the community to collaborate with each other.
And this is the first time actually we're doing a competition with an actual cash prize. So this is really exciting for us to do this. So how do you participate in this competition? Well, first of all, you create an app with an AI generator that is currently at bubble.io/AI features. Then you should iterate on the application. Obviously, to win is going to take a little bit more work than just generating an application. And then you post a video of it on social platforms, either X or LinkedIn, with tagging the company, so tagging the Bubble account and the hashtag BubbleAI. And then the most liked demos on each platform will get a $1,000 prize. And then the team will pick a third winner for another $1,000 prize. So the deadline is April 22nd, and then we'll announce the winners on April 24th. So looking forward to what you build.
Yeah, so cool. I'm super excited about this. One important question though, can Bubble employees compete?
No.
I'm so sorry, Ali. I know you would be a devastating competitor, but unfortunately, in fairness to our community, we have to ask you to sit this one out.
All right. Well, that being said, I hope all of you tuning in today do choose to participate. I'm really excited to see what you all build. And yeah, thanks again for joining us today. We will have some more announcements about that competition coming up as well, so stay tuned. And yeah, do you guys have any last thoughts you want to share?
Just want to thank everyone for listening. Thank you all for the great questions. As always, our community is incredibly curious and supportive and doing all kinds of cool stuff. We do it for you guys. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is the first time we do such a live AMA with live streaming, and I hope we'll do this again. This was really fun. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye.